The content you are about to watch is meant for thought and consideration. Please be respectful of each other and opinions shared. This is a safe space to express thoughts, ideas, and information. The views and opinions expressed by individuals in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of every speaker of the IMEC organization or its affiliates. P.S. The Mandela effect is real. We love you guys so very much. And another person that we love very, very much is coming to the stage next. That is Miss Nicole DeMario. Nicole DeMario is a personal growth coach, an intuitive empath. She also does consulting work whenever she feels so moved. When she really wants to play in her possibilities, she writes quantum theory. Now, this sounds like my kind of person. I want to sit down with her after this conference and have a really, really long talk about quantum theory. That would be lots of fun. All this is fun to her. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Nicole DeMario. Nicole DeMario is an empath. She's an intuitive. She's an author, and she's a coach. And still, everything I've told you tells you absolutely nothing about who Nicole really is. These are just some of the things that she does. When asked to describe herself, Nicole says, and I quote, "If you were to ask me who I am, I could tell you I've assisted with one high school's kind campaign, sat on the board of a diversity nonprofit, been the executive director of my own project, one whose aim was to gift a musical CD to all students everywhere, one whose focus was to assist them with how they love themselves. And still, this would not tell you who I am. All it would do is highlight some of the things that I have done. Who I am is deeper, richer, fuller. If you are really interested in who I am, please ask me. I might even be connected to my truth in the moment that you're asking me. I am me. The wisdom contained within is my own. It is my truth. Only you can decide if any of it is yours." End quote. We are creating a new world, a reality where our hearts, our very humanity guides us. How we show up in each moment is our truth, at least in that moment. Our worth can only be chosen by ourselves. Let this guide us as we move forward.
Hi, my name is Nicole DeMario, and I wanted to talk to you about the importance of consciously creating one's world. This belief that we create sometimes, but not others, is a false one. There is never a moment where we are not creating. So we can either create by design, with intention, or we can create by default. I would ask you to ask yourself which feels better. You may be curious, how are we creating as we move through our days? What has our focus? What are you thinking about most? Are you thinking about that which already was? Or are you thinking about that which is yet to be? When you consider your possible futures, are you thinking about what you want? Or are you thinking about what you don't want? The more you think about what you don't want, the more likely you are to draw that reality to you. And if your present reality is one which does not agree with you, ignore it to the best of your ability, and instead focus on what is desired exclusively, and allow no others to enter into your space. Think about what you want. Think about what you want. Think about what you want to the exclusion of all else. Envision it. Feel into it. In order to change your reality, you have to let go of the one you're currently in. Whatever you're seeing, feeling, experiencing, put it aside. Close the door on it if you need to. Separate yourself from it. For me, it can feel as easy as turning away from it. Physically, I might even move my body in such a way as if the past is behind me and the future is in front of me. Get still. Relax as best as you are able. Breathe slowly and deeply. Go within. Withdraw your attention from your outer experience. Ignore it for the time being. From this space of inner stillness, what is it you want? What experiences do you want to have? What brings you peace, joy, comfort, ease? How can the universe care for you? What kind of support would you like to have? Can you feel the deliciousness of all of that? The choicefulness of it, the gentleness, taking care of yourself and getting all of your needs met is so important in the care of you. Be easy in yourself. Be easy in this experience. Be easy in all of your experiences. The energy of tension brings you more things to feel tense about. Just like the energy of joy brings you more things to feel joy about. Identify ways to change your vibrational offering. If you feel bad, how can you feel better? Even marginally better is a win. Ask yourself how you want to feel. Do you want to feel good, or do you want to feel bad? Do you want to feel empowered, or do you want to feel disempowered? All are choices that can be chosen by you. You are the creator of your experiences, after all. Get conscious and creative about choosing into that which is appealing to you. So how do we get conscious about our creations? There are a couple of different ways that we can do this. We can envision that which we desire. We can see ourselves in those experiences. We can actually feel them, experience them as if we are fully present to them. What would it feel like to walk, to see, to be fully in health? What would you do with full health? Where would you go? Who would you share those experiences with? What would you hear, see, feel? What would your surroundings look like? If this feels difficult, what can you affirm? You are healthy. Your body feels good as you move throughout your day. You are living the life that you want to live. Choose the words that work best for you. Remember to make sure they feel good when you repeat them or think them. If the words you've chosen tense you, have you feeling stressed or overwhelmed, then they're not the right words for that moment. I allow the potential dynamism of each moment to guide my choices. I encourage you to do the same. What words have you feeling better than the words you're currently thinking? I'll give you an example. I'm always happy. This phrase doesn't feel real to me because I know I haven't always been happy. I can think of examples where this has been so for me. Not that I'd want to direct my thoughts in that way. So I'll choose something else. I wonder what that might be for me. What pulls me up while still feeling believable? I'm happy in this moment. Does this feel true to me? Do I feel better when I think or say it? If this statement doesn't work, which one does? There are moments I am happy. I can feel happy. I know how to be happy. Yeah, I know how to be happy. All of these feel better to me. So these are what I'll go with in this moment. I might choose different ones later, depending upon how I'm feeling. I recognize just because I feel good in this moment doesn't mean I'll feel good in the next. So I check in regularly. I do what I can to feel good throughout my day. I notice when my energy is low, paying particular attention to how I feel. I take breaks. I get outside. I do something else until I notice a shift for the better. I also ask, what can I do to feel better now? Then I listen. I allow my inner guidance to guide me. Oftentimes it comes in the form of a suggestion. I hear it like words spoken in my mind. But I can receive that information in other ways also. Visions, a deep, innate sense of knowing. Others helpfully providing the information as I'm requesting it. Know that you'll know, and you'll know when you need to know it. If I want more than one suggestion, I'll create context around that question. It's often like this. Give me a list. What kinds of activities can I do to feel better now? More context. What fun things can I do that are free? Another, what can I do outside? I allow my questions to do the work. When I refine my questions, I get more refined answers, more specific to my wants and needs. Listening is a skill also. Listen to the answers you receive. They are specific to you. Another tool I use to guide my vibrational offering is gratitude. What can you be grateful for in this moment? There is always something. Are you grateful? What are you grateful for in your life? Your ability to breathe, your ability to walk, to speak, your ability to share your life with others of similar like-mindedness. Do you have pets that you are thankful for? Beautiful vistas you can gaze upon. The warmth of the sun as it kisses your beautiful face. Stars please me. I am often grateful for them. I am blessed in my friendships. I also appreciate them. I have the ability and the means to choose the food which feels best in my body. I appreciate its nutrients which nourish me and keep me in good health. These are some examples of things I have chosen to be grateful for. Choose ones that speak to you. And if you don't know, ask. Ask yourself what you have to be grateful for. Be grateful for anything and everything you can. Relentlessly pursue your positives. Your positives will bring you more things to feel positive about. I call this minding your vibration. Feel as good as you can, as often as you can, and watch the quality of your life change for the better. Commit to feeling good. Choose practices which support this focus. And if feeling grateful seems too big a stretch for you, do something which has you feeling good. What is that for you? Get curious. Watching a really good show, receiving a really good massage. This is one of my particular favorites. Putting on a fun piece of music and dancing through your space. Snuggling with a loved one, eating a good meal, reading through your saved jokes, queuing up your favorite comedic skits and watching them until your mood is uplifted. Pick something. And if it doesn't feel good, pivot. Choose something else and keep choosing until you feel better. It doesn't need to feel good to another. It only needs to feel good to you. Once you feel good, you can either rest in that feeling and savor it, appreciate it, or both. Allow yourself to choose your experience in the moment. You may notice I use language like in this moment a lot because it recognizes that each moment is different and unlike anything which has come before or any that will come after. Each moment allows us a new opportunity to create something new because it is new. Experiences are happening all of the time. How we curate these experiences is a choice. Are the positives identified or only the negatives? If they can't be curated positively, do your best to not think of them at all. The mind left unattended can spin, and in this spin, stories can be created. These stories can either help us or hurt us. So either notice the spin and refuse your participation, or choose the spin that honors you best, that has you feeling the best. Avoid fixating on anything. Catch yourself in the act if you can. Redirect. This too is a practice. You'll get better at it the more that you do it. At some point, you'll quickly move away from those thoughts which lower your energy. You'll naturally gravitate to those who feel good being around. You'll be drawn to those who smile, laugh, enjoy a good and drama-free time. You'll be unwilling to settle for anything less. One other way that I use to help others is to affirm their capability. I use such phrases as, he or she's got this. They know what they're doing. Of course this is handled. Of course they have this. I then watch how my commitment to this truth plays out in his or her experience. I get to hold that space for them, which is an honor, and it is shifting, often for us both. We can either hold others as capable, or we can hold them as incapable. How do you want to experience them? Which actually serves their greatest truth? This is a way to see their mastery and hold it for them, or with them, or both. These are some of the ways I consciously create my world, thinking only about what I do want, to the best of my ability. Affirmations, gratitude, feeling good, holding space for the highest possible outcome for myself and others. Trust your way. Trust your process. It's yours and it's absolutely perfect for you.
Welcome back, you guys. We are here with Nicole DeMario. How are you, Nicole? Thank you. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you. I'm fine. I hope you all are well also.
Lots of high vibes going on. Do you want to start with a little story, Cynthia?
Yeah, Nicole is incredibly important to me. She's really one of those amazing people, and people noticed in the chat that we just abandoned when we switched over to this video stream. But people were picking up on the high vibe and the really great energy. People were noticing the green aura around Nicole's head and beings. So we're just going to put that out there too. So, and I also did notice that. Yes, Nicole's energy is incredibly good. And it's very much in line with, as I was saying previously, with the love stream that Shane does on Friday nights. And so Nicole and I were sitting together in a restaurant called, what is it? The Dushanbe Tea House, right?
Correct, yes.
That's it, a beautiful restaurant. It's in Boulder, Colorado. And I think they reconstructed it and moved it beam by beam. Where did it come from again originally?
Oh, was it Uzbekistan? I'm not
It's
sure.
got an amazing history, but it looks so exotic, and the wood is carved and beautiful. The food is incredible, but this is not a food or restaurant review. What actually happened, the importance of this event had a lot more to do with the conversation that I had with Nicole. We were talking about just very much like what she just talked about in her presentation. So for those of you who are listening to that and enjoying the ideas, some of them that I really like are the idea of just relentlessly pursuing positives. Exactly. Well, I was talking with her about that same idea and how good can it get, and what if the whole world chooses to go that direction? How good could the whole world get? So as we're talking, unbeknownst to me, because I was a little oblivious, the restaurant was emptied of all the customers except for the two of us. And I noticed when the check came, and then I looked around and thought, oh my gosh, we're the only ones here. And I think about that time we asked the wait staff person, maybe should we leave? And we got strong reassurance. Oh, no. You should definitely stay. It was really emphatic. And the whole thing was quite unusual in a good way. And then the waiters were all gone. They went back to the kitchen, or I don't know where they went, but we had the entire huge, beautiful space to ourselves. So we're still talking some more. And then I suggested, I'd like to get a picture taken with you. I've got my camera and we can just snap like a selfie. So I stood up, and I just started to move a rose, and I'm just reaching over for something. This is a dried rose, but it is, I believe it's the exact same rose, because I took a photograph of it and then it vanished. There's a long story here. But when it showed up, it was fresh. This is the first time in my life that I've had something so alive just show up. I've had other things show up, but nothing like fresh cut rose. So then we looked around. There were no roses like this in the restaurant. This was not something that was on the table. It was not like someone's, it didn't come from anywhere that I could see. I'd love it, since Nicole is here, maybe you could say a few words about this too, the conversation.
I had gotten up, I'm not sure if you remember, and I was moving my chair, and it was not there when I got up. And then when I got back, it was, and the whole space was empty. We were the only two, and as you say, the wait staff was not in that space. They had been in the kitchen all that time.
Which is like 50, 60 feet away. It's a big space.
It was amazing. And there you and I were, and we were looking to see if that flower had come from a different space, and none of the tables had them, or, Yeah,
we looked up, we looked around. This is very funny. Because I thought, well, the obvious explanation would be maybe it was like a table setting or something I didn't notice, but it wasn't. And I didn't have the presence of mind to take a photo right then. So I took a photo of it later that evening, many hours later. It was a bit wilted, and then it completely vanished. And I traveled back to California from Boulder, and it was gone. I looked for it. I looked for where I'd put it. Where I put it was safe. What I thought was a very safe place in a very specific travel purse that I use. And I use it quite a lot. Every time I use it, I empty it completely. So I came home from the trip, emptied it completely, used it many, many more times. Then one day, this showed up in that same travel purse at the bottom where it would have been completely crushed if it had been there. And so this showed up on a day that I was talking with someone that you know, Shane, the quantum healer, Candace. You know? Is Shane there?
Yep, Candace Call Goldman. Sorry, I was muted. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So this actually affects all three of us in a way. So I think I wanted to bring it just to talk about that. And also to talk about the fact that when you focus on these very high vibes and like the love stream that Shane does and like what we're feeling and like what you're talking about, Nicole. And really, you've written a book too that helps people get to that state. So the Book of Nicole. Yeah.
I wonder how I came up with that title.
So we can go ahead and ask some questions.
I love it. Okay, this one comes from Alva Yarder. Question: we watched Looney Tunes, spelled Toons. Now we listen to Looney Tunes, spelled Tunes, question mark. Is this a form of mind control? Interesting question.
Is this for me or Cynthia? I was thinking this might be a better question for Cynthia.
Yeah, Nicole really doesn't get into mind control for, this is, I wrote down, it was like, this is Alva Yarder. Nicole is at a high vibe frequency where mind control is no longer an issue, which is an interesting concept in itself. And I think it's actually a good thing the question came in, because a lot of people are very focused on mind control. And we just talked about it in Lauren's presentation. So it does come up. Shane, do you want to add to that? Or
I think, and this comes up a lot. And I think, it's a valid question. It's a valid concern, because nobody wants to be mind controlled, right? But I do agree with you that, I think your level of consciousness, like we were kind of talking about how much you are awake. And once you sort of reach that path of awaken, I think it's less likely of a concern at that point. It's sort of just when you're what they call the NPC, you're just kind of a sleepwalker. You're going about your daily thing. You're sort of taking the TV programming in and that's fine, just living the American dream or whatever, but you're kind of just sleepwalking, and I think that's when we're more easily influenced. That's why I believe that, this community seems to be more awakened, because it's these people that know about all the other things that are seeing the Mandela effect as well. So no, I don't think we're being mind controlled. If anything, like Lauren said, it might be the other way around.
May I add something?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I usually just approach situations like that as an impossibility for me. Like, for example, I was looking at a space and recently in the last week, and someone was telling me that it had a dark energy. And so I just simply said, show it to me, reveal the space to me, whatever that is. And I did have this experience of an energy and was able to identify that. But in that space, when I said reveal it, I always have an expectation of that I'm always protected and I always know the truth, and I take that with me throughout my day. So, and some people, whatever works for the person, whether someone shields or they just say, nope, that's just impossible for me. That's not how I relate with my world. So I don't think we have to have fear-based consciousness if we don't want to. That's a choice. I
agree. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and I think, but a lot of people might not experience it as a choice. So I'm going to put that out there too, because that's what's interesting about our community. Very interesting. This is an interesting day, actually, because we've been all over the place today, from people who are traumatized and feeling all sorts of things to this. Now we're super high vibing, and
we're soaring now, baby. Okay, so let's see. We're going to go to Go-Kart Bob, and his question was, can you explain cat in the box? And I did clarify with him, are you talking about Schrodinger's cat? And he did say yes. Do you have any comments on that, Nicole?
I guess I would. Do I have comments about this? That's a thought experiment. So really thinking about the possibility of different realities. I guess to me this seems like quantum superposition. We have infinite possibilities available in any given moment. And the moment of choice, and it doesn't even have to be a conscious choice, but it can be a vibrational choice also. Whatever that we are emoting, we are drawing to us. So that's why I think it's so imperative to hang out feeling good as often as possible, because then we draw more of those types of experiences to us. But absolutely, I like to contextualize my life. And, it's that thought whether I can or I can't, and to really be mindful enough to catch where my thoughts are hanging out. I'm not sure that answers that question, but if someone else wants to jump in, please do so.
I think the question might have been because that you were described as loving to study quantum physics in your spare time. So then it might be like, what does the Schrodinger's cat mean to you? Like, how does that?
Yeah, there's a lot of different quantum theories and a lot of inner knowings about. Yeah, for me, it just kind of touches on superpositioning. And the moment, of course, that we observe something, we change it. So energy is always relational, whatever that is, whether like the universe doesn't know in order between a TV or a person or a plant. It's all one unified field of consciousness. So, yeah. And for me, I guess I don't necessarily have to, like I just say to the energy, I say, show me what's there. And then I know what's there. So, yeah. And another thing I say to myself is, what is the truth of this situation? Reveal itself to me. And then it does. So whether I hear it as a thought in my head, or it's a flash of vision, or like someone says something to me, and it's that deep knowing, like, what is the truth? Ultimately, I always want to know the fundamental truth of any situation.
I like what you said in your presentation too, that if you do notice a couple of thoughts come to mind, you'll go with the one that's obviously better. Maybe you just hinted at that. I got that idea listening to your talk.
Wonderful. Well, and I love that you have your own experience, because I just say what I say, and then people interpret them, and
right.
Interpret whatever the way that it is resonant to them, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if you'll. I'll just ask the question from AJ, the Rip on Rabbit Hole. Do you do slam poetry? Do you know what slam poetry is?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I haven't done it before, no.
Oh, okay.
But I do appreciate it. It's a wonderful medium for expression.
Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, I wasn't. For those who aren't aware of it, is there a quick explanation? Slam poetry. It sounds interesting.
It's
like automatic writing, but poetry or something?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay. So let's see. Melinda Inverson. Let's see. Question. Nicole, when did you notice you were becoming a higher vibe being? Did something happen to you to open your heart specifically?
Yeah, actually, it was a relationship, and that really drove experiences. And there's a saying that says, when you know what you don't want, you then know what you do want. And through any experience of mine, I really clarify, okay, what in that experience do I really like? And so that started me on a journey, Sedona, personal coaching, authentic relationship, all different types of things. And I got to pick and choose what in those was really resonant with me. And I was actually invited to participate in a year-long intuitive coaching program. And so we often connected twice a day, and we were doing visualizing and shielding and different things. And that really, through those experiences, I really got to define my expression. Someone would tell me, well, this is how I handle that type of situation. And I would ask, is that true for me? And if it wasn't, then my follow-up question would be, well, what is it for me? I got to listen, and that's what I would encourage anyone to always check in with yourself and say, what is it for me? What is my path? What is my way? Because that's really where the magic is in our individual respective pathways, our paths.
Excellent. Okay. Next one is from Daisy Thomas. We lost, let's see. How to protect my gut when there's a sudden, unexpected outburst of anger near me?
Yeah, again, I would ask you to ask yourself, what is it for you? How would you like to protect yourself? I do different things. I ground, I meditate. Sometimes I envision myself in a bubble and it's impervious. I've envisioned myself encapsulated in like a glass chamber, and which is what I did a week ago when I said reveal that energy in that space. And I was just curious because I was told that someone had died in that space, and it was a girl, a young girl, and I just said, okay, I'm curious, show me what that space is. And instantly I had been encased in this glass box, and I'm grateful that I know to do that, because the energy was very dark, and it was on my box, like this glass box trying to get at me. And so I then got to play with like, you don't get to be here. Like I forbid you, I refuse you permission. So it was that kind of thing. But I would always say check in and ask yourself what tool or what thing might work for you. Play with it. That's what I do.
Great advice. Anything to add to that, Cynthia?
Oh, wow. It's such a good answer. I think it's just like when you eat food, you need to make sure that your diet works for you, and it needs to fit your beliefs and so forth. Yeah, it's kind of funny though. So I was helping someone do a clearing in their apartment, and I just got an email this morning from that person because that person had died. Also, you're mentioning this, and I'm like, wow, that just happened. What a coincidence. So I just got feedback on the person who died, and we did some blessings for the space. It had gotten pretty bad. Long story short, when I had done that a couple weeks ago, I had felt the presence of that there was a tenant underneath, and so I said, this person's going to be affected by what we're doing. And I described it to the landlord person, and they said, okay. And I said, you just want to be mindful, because some people, we're radically shifting the energy. It's going from extremely dark, really bad, like really, really bad, to super, super good. And I don't know what's going to happen, but something's, they're going to notice. You just don't do something like that and they don't notice. So I got the email this morning from the landlord saying, yes, well, this person was blown away. They said that tenant downstairs, basically, he went from being completely locked in and depressed and despondent and just very dark to now going out on walks, cheerful. It said they're going to change their whole life. Came out of nowhere. And it was a great way to start the morning.
Yeah.
Very funny. Yeah, this stuff is real. And so what Nicole is talking about, you might think, well, that's real woo-woo. No, this stuff is very real. Like, it's as real as roses dropping out of the air. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen it, and I know how bizarre it sounds, but until it happens over and over again, you'd be almost crazy to deny it, right?
Right.
Okay, this comes from Millennium Wasted Millennium, sorry. Question, how do you differentiate from a ghost, alien, or other energy? Is there really a difference, since it's just another frequency or energy most people cannot tune into yet, it seems?
I'm not sure that I have an answer to this, because I can't say, so if someone else wants to take this, I haven't had a real tangible experience of extraterrestrials. I had one in a dream, but that I would say that would be the only one. So if someone else wants to add, please do.
Yeah, just a lot of experience. It's just like anything else. It's like if you get good at identifying dogs, if you go to be with dogs a lot. So if you talk to a lot of ghosts and talk to a lot of ETs, then it's just a lot of asking each one, who are you? And really getting a lot of back and forth confirmation, validation. just years of experience, then you can do it. I don't know how to say how to do it in just a sentence. It's not like that kind of thing. It's going to be experience.
Great question or great answer. So people would just ask, and is there fear of deception? Like I'm this, but I'm really that, or anything like that?
That's such a good clue. When you start getting deception, that tells you a lot right there. So
Right.
yeah, you get lots of information.
Okay, good. Okay, Eric Mill asks, if the observe always affect the results, is scientific experimentation real? How can we ever trust our results? Personally, I do still love science. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question, and one that I think, and for me, I think of it more from a perspective of unified field. If there is no separation, we can perceive separation between energy, but if there fundamentally is no difference, then that means that our thoughts drive every experience. And that is absolutely, it's such a good question because it's one that I've thought about. I know, like my first 3 years in college, I was taking epidemiology and exercise phys, and I was reading medical journals, and so I get the double-blind study. But if we take that further on a quantum level and we look at it through the eyes or the perspective of unified field, then there is no way to remove ourselves from that experiment. It's such a good question. I love that. Thank you. Yes.
Cynthia, I'll let you ask a question. I need to get a hold of Moneybags. Apparently he put a question in here. I'll see it.
Oh, he did? Okay.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to riff off what you were saying. So I want to follow up on that question that Eric was asking and take it a little further. Have you given any thought, Nicole, to you're sort of like envisioning where science might go? Because some interesting things are happening with a lot of the assumptions we've made about science. Obviously, everything from assumptions of objectivity, that one's shot. All sorts of things are not quite the way our classical scientific method was set up to operate. Things are very different right now. So I don't know if you've given any thought to what that might look like, or can you imagine that?
Yeah, I like to say that quantum science is a body of science that evolves as we do. So does that make sense?
To me it does, but it's kind of nebulous.
Yeah, and I think part of that is the questions that we ask, right? I think that when we ask better questions, we get better answers. And I think about Einstein and Bohr and all of these things. So often people weren't asking those questions.
That's right.
Like, is energy relational? And while we can have an experience of time and space, do they fundamentally exist? And can we have an experience, I know you'll love this, of linear time? Absolutely. But fundamentally, is that the way the universe operates, linearly? Now, we know that that's not true.
We know that's not true.
Yes. So, and that's why it gets so exciting for me, because it opens the door. And all of these experiences that people may or may not have thought were valid, I think there's a greater attentiveness to them at this point.
Yeah.
To say, so not to discredit the experiences they're having. So, but yes, absolutely, our beliefs drive our experiences. They can. So, so can our emotions. So.
Perfect. We got a question from Atsuko Uchida. What do you suggest to do to have balance between inner work and fighting out there in the physical world?
Yeah, I would say ask yourself what that is for you, for the individual, because there is no right answer. It's just what is the answer for that person. And they'll know and check in as often as you need to. Like, what does it look like for you in this moment? What does it look like for you this morning, for this afternoon, for this day, this week? And I like to believe that people know the best of all things for themselves. That's kind of how I approach that. For me, I notice if the outer work has, I pay attention to my energy, like what is my vibrational offering? And if I'm vibing low, I know it's time to do something else. Something that feels better to me or something that feels good. And like whatever that is it watching a feel-good film? Is it listening to a good piece of music? Is it picking up the phone and calling a funny, witty friend or someone that you love, Cynthia? Or like, what is that for you? And let that be your guide, your own inner wisdom.
Also, to add to that, just my little 2 cents, I find it's often better to put energy into what you want rather than fighting what you don't want.
Yes.
Then it's more going with the flow rather than trying to resist something, you know.
So true.
What do you think, Cynthia? I know you got great advice.
I just love what you guys are saying. I'm just like nodding, like grinning, nodding.
Right.
Hopefully we haven't lost everyone else. But
Well, Moneybags has a Mandela effect related question.
Awesome.
In your opinion, why did the Mandela effect explode on the internet around late 2015?
Cynthia, would you like to take that one?
Or did he want to know Nicole's opinion, or I think
just
okay. Well, 2015, I think that I think we hit a tipping point. My theory goes like this. I've been tracking the meditation, especially in the United States, and we hit around the 10% tipping point for meditators in the United States right around that time. It's you could say that's a coincidence. You could say it's just, it's not definitely causing it. It's not causative. It's just some simple coincidence, and maybe that's true. But I tend to look at the meditation as being kind of that hundredth monkey that we've been talking about during this conference. And I think Acronis Mago brought it up with the work of Rupert Sheldrake, and it's brilliant. So when you get to that point that enough people have really mastered something, or they understand what we're talking about right here, right now, what Nicole is talking about, and that happens because they're meditating, you're absolutely changing everything. And so that right there, to me, would be enough to really sort of move things. Now, I also know that, of course, Evan's the one asking the question, so he knows the work of the Ninth Wave and Dr. Kalaman that Regina Meredith, our keynote speaker, spoke of, and the indigenous wisdom. But the original thinking of the indigenous elders is that there is no such thing as a new idea. It's always been here. They don't look at linear time. So to them, of course, it's going to happen when it happens, and it was meant to be. So this meditation hitting the 10%, it's a chicken and egg problem, Evan. So I don't know what to say. Lots of possibilities here.
And I would say divine timing. What would you say, Nicole?
Yeah, I would say that the more that we that it perpetuates, there's a momentum building, and it may have started, but the momentum can build fairly quickly. Especially through conferences like this and stuff. The more that we make it commonplace to talk about these things, the more they become commonplace. And I was just thinking, to piggyback on the earlier question, when you were talking about we get what we focus on. So it's so imperative to focus on what we want rather than what we don't want. And there's a faith with that, right? For me, it's not a religious faith, but it's a faith nonetheless, to say my faith is that we live in a humane world and everyone's needs are being taken care of. And I find, so that balance of inner and outer, I find that if I go away and do something that is pleasing to me, I'll come back and the solution is there. So if I put on Twitter or Instagram, I'll see that the news reflects my vibration. It is at that level, as it should be, right? We attract our vibrational offering. And so if I'm vibing high, I'm going to get news that matches that. And it's amazing. So, to extricate myself from the struggle, because the struggle is unnecessary, and just go and enjoy my life. And that's what I get. I get enjoyment of my life, and that's what comes to me. It's a miracle in and of itself. I'm so grateful for that. So I just have to feel good, right? Remind myself, okay, Nicole, stop doing that and just go feel good.
And I don't think, Nicole, you probably weren't tracking this Mandela effect through 2015 anyway.
I wasn't, no.
The person asking the question has been, not exactly since 2015, but shortly after. So that's Evan Maitreya, one of our speakers and presenters at this conference. And so he's coming from this perspective, like things are changing. And if you look at, like, you can look at Google Trends and notice, wow, there's this huge bump right around 2015. What's with that? And so it's kind of like a huge phenomenon happening globally. And that was where that question came from.
Yeah, I'm sorry I have not been tracking that explosion. I love it though.
Yeah. Yeah, we all love it.
I get to have, I'm sorry. I love that we get to have those conversations.
Right.
And experiences, actually. They're both fun.
Let's see, we can keep chatting. We don't have any more questions, or you guys can put them in the chat. We got about 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. If you have any quick questions, type in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this got a little bit, thanks everyone for sticking with us as that little bump happened. I was saying, I think it was when we got cut off, that this sort of thing happens to me all the time, but not for these reasons, but for just pure energy reasons. Does that happen to you too, Shane? Like occasional, yeah, I thought so.
It certainly does, yeah, it certainly does.
Wait, I'm asking you this question, and you told me what that crazy week you had, or I forget what failed. It was like everything.
Yeah. Mercury retrograde. It's something I've learned about since then. It's like every time stuff's going awry, it's Mercury retrograde. I'm like, okay, it's fitting. So
I've got something fitting for this conversation because I've ordered a package from time to time, and you know how they give you the email updates. I've sometimes gotten 4 updates for one package with 4 different reports. One of them is good news, like the package is still on the way. The other 3 say it's been delivered. That's bad news because it's not here. So what I do is taking all of the advice Nicole is giving today. I just basically focus on, okay, well, it's not here, so obviously it's still coming. I'm choosing 25% of the choices just presented to me. I know it's impossible. I just got 4 status updates, but that's my life. So it's like they're playing with me. So I'll choose the one where it's on the way, and that's what I'm going to believe in. I'm just going to be relentlessly positive about this. And that's the only acceptable reality. And then that is the acceptable reality. Mm-hmm. But I'm aware that some people live in that superposition of states, and sometimes they ask the wrong question. Instead of how good can it get, they just say, what's next? Don't ask that. Just don't go there. So even if you believe in Mercury retrograde, you can still ask, how good can this Mercury retrograde get? Find out.
Moneybags is wanting to know if Nicole can just speak of her thoughts on the Mandela effect, just in general.
So for me, it's about really getting conscious about what outcome I want to have. And it's like Cynthia, just to kind of talk about what she was talking about. A few days ago, I was doing an internet search, and I wanted some information about something. And I saw 2 possibilities. I was seeing articles that it was this way, and I saw articles that it was this way. And I thought, how fun, I get to see the 2 preeminent possibilities, and which one do I want to choose, and which one do I want to experience? And so, Cynthia loves to ask, and I love this, how good can it get? So we have these moments, and they're choosing moments, and I often, if I feel that the outcome is a certain way and that's unacceptable to me, I simply choose differently, and the reality shifts for me. So I don't know if that's, like, for me, I just call it consciously creating reality, or consciously choosing. But that's what happens. So, or like, for example, something like cookies. I love cookies. And so like looking in the cupboard and looking all over, and finally, in exasperation, why it took me to that point, but saying, okay, where are the cookies? And then the cookies showing up right in front of me where I had just looked, like, poof, they're there. Like, where are my cookies? And there they are. So it's about really getting mindful about the type of reality that we want to experience. And it's fun too. Like, who wants
What's even possible, right?
Yeah, who wants to be without a cookie?
Right.
We're getting a lot of chatter about Dark Wolf's onion rings recipe in the chat room. Funny.
Okay, somebody had a question. Imaginationary man, could we all be in our afterlives waiting for the entry back into life? Could this be the afterlife? Could we have just maybe not realized that we slipped off and were, I guess, like a purgatory or something? I don't know. Either one of you, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good question.
We could save it for the panel if you'd like.
No, yeah, I love that. Absolutely. I would love to get feedback. When I ask, is that true?
Right.
I don't get a sense that that's true. But yeah, absolutely. Panel it. Let's see what other people have to say about that.
Yeah, it's not my personal experience either. I've spoken about it before, but this would be great for the panel. Let's bring it in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's panel it.
I heard somebody talking about my onion ring recipe, and those wolf ears, they pick up on stuff like that. We have the recipe hidden away in a secret lockbox under security in the back room, guys. You're not getting it. They've been asking my recipe for a while.
No,
It'll be the unobtainium special prize at some point.
If Cynthia can talk me out of it, you guys know how long I've been holding on to this thing. Guys, I want to thank Nicole DeMario for being here. I really appreciate this Q&A. What a great video. I really enjoyed that. That was very, very sweet. I loved it. I don't know another word to put. I mean, just such great information. So well stated. So thank you, Nicole.
thank you.
It's a pleasure having you here. You're going to be here for the panel too, right?
I will be.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. Shane and Cynthia, you have done such amazing jobs moderating today. Thank you guys so very much for doing this.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure.